Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Since becoming the Minister of Education in Ontario, it has been an absolute personal goal of mine to make sure that students in every corner of this province feel safe and supported. But we need to recognize what that means. Safety and support, we have to recognize that varies from student to student. But what remains constant is the focus that we need to give to every individual student. Ensuring students with autism is very, very important to me, and it's an absolute priority that we get it right to make sure that they have the best learning environment possible. You know, one of the first things that I did in becoming Minister of Education was I took on meetings, I took on phone calls, and I'll never forget a mom who wanted to speak to me because she was frustrated with the school system. She was frustrated that her child with autism was struggling to get the support they needed from their school board so that that child could go to school with his companion dog. We worked really hard with that family, and you know what happened in the end? I recognized straight away that not every board was the same, and in the end, that family moved to a school board so that they were in a system where the school board supported their child with his companion dog. And that really stuck with me. So another thing that I did as minister in terms of initial steps was to extend the after-school ASD development pilot program. I also introduced the Safe and Supportive Classroom Act. Again, something that was very, very important to me. And if you're familiar with that act, I specifically talk about the need to make sure we have a consistent approach across this province from board to board when it comes to companion dogs. And if passed, this particular act, the Safe and Supportive Classrooms Act, will pave the way to do just that. We will finally have a consistent approach to the use of service animals in classrooms in Ontario. But we know there's so much more to do. And today I am incredibly pleased to announce additional resources for students with autism as well as their families. You know, I also need to recognize that when I talk about introducing additional supports for our students and their families, I'm also talking about additional supports for our educators. These supports will start absolutely immediately. As you know, more children and youth with autism will begin entering school on a full-time basis later this spring. And we are making changes to school board funding so supports will be in place for this current school year. For each new student entering the school system, school boards will receive an average of $12,300 per student. This funding will allow school boards to make sure there are proper supports available during the transition from therapy to school. But in order to make students with autism feel comfortable and to give them the best opportunity to succeed, we will absolutely need and will put a long-term plan in motion. And that's what I'm also very pleased to share with you today. So first of all, we're announcing today that in support of students entering the school system later this year, new students, school boards will be receiving $12,300 per student. But I'm also here to announce that the Ontario government's plan to support students as well as educators will have four main pillars: professional development, funding, after-school programs, and collaboration. Our strategy will support training and promote the opportunities for educators to improve and enhance their skills when it comes to working with students with ASD. We're going to increase student development and support school board decision-making. We believe a key factor in student success is indeed the educator. Starting this fall, we will subsidize the ASD-related additional qualification course. My ministry will invest in every educator who wants to continue to grow their skill base. And when new teachers enter the system, their onboarding will have increased training in support of students with ASD. That said, we understand the need for boards to address priorities for their schools as well. So this coming school year, 2019-2020, my ministry will once again provide over $3 billion in special education funding. This will be good news to boards. This will allow school boards to be responsive to any changes in enrollment. They can hire more ABA professionals or purchase new sensory equipment. And going forward, we are asking all boards to dedicate a professional activity day to learn about the best way forward when it comes to supporting students with ASD. And by 2021, I'll repeat that again, by the 2020-2021 school year, we'll be able to say every teacher in this province will have training in supporting students with ASD. My ministry has worked so hard. The teams in every floor, every department know how important this is to me. And we have to be there not only for our students, but our teachers as well. And we're focused on making sure, as I said, every teacher in this province will have had additional training with regards to supporting ASD, students specifically with ASD, by the school year 2020-2021. We're also doubling our investment in the Geneva Centre for Autism. We're increasing our funding, as I said, by double the amount to $2 million, providing over 4,000 educators each year the opportunity for more ASD-related training. Moments ago, I mentioned the after-school development program, so I want to talk about that a little bit more as well. We know the boards who have participated in this pilot believe in its outcomes. The program's been very successful. So based on the results of the extended pilot, today I'm also pleased to say that we're going to be expanding the after-school development program to all 72 school boards across this province. We're investing in supporting our boards and making sure that the programs fit with the students that will be entering our school system. And finally, the ministry will also host a series of virtual sessions to engage parents, educators, administrators, and interested community individuals in a dialogue about these complex issues. I'm a minister who believes in working hands-on with our grassroots. And in order to do so, we need fluid, good, two-way communications. And these virtual sessions will help us extend that opportunity. And I also have to share with you that I will continue to partner with my colleague, Lisa MacLeod. Minister MacLeod is embarking on something that is so important: fair and equitable access and treatment for our children with autism. And I stand beside her. And together we will work to support transitions through the programs that her ministry has, like the Connections for Students transition teams. At the Ministry of Education, my teams immediately went to work this past summer to identify how to best support children with autism and their families, as well as our educators. I want to thank them for the weekends and the long nights that they put in, because they know we have to get it right. We have to get it right for our students, their families, and our educators, as I've mentioned. So I believe, and I'm confident, that our education partners will appreciate the four-point plan that I've shared with you today and the announcements made, because we're going to get it right. We have some of the best teachers in the world right here in Ontario, and we're standing with them. I thank them for their tireless commitment and dedication. Together with educators and parents, we will create opportunities for young people to participate and drive our economy forward, like never before. To prepare students for success, it means we have to have the best learning environment possible. And the 4-point plan that I introduced today, as well as the additional funding for our school boards and the focus on supporting our educators, will all culminate in a foundation of confidence that parents will be able to embrace when we talk about making sure that students with autism are going to be well cared for and they'll be successful in our classroom environments. So I want to thank you for being here today, and I'd be pleased to take some questions if you have any at this time.
You said about just over $12,000 for each student who's going to be going into for the rest of the months for the school year.
Yes.
But parents that we've spoken to say some of these therapies that they're losing are costing $80,000, $90,000. There's such a huge difference. Do you think that this is going to make up for that or replace that?
Actually, I'm not talking about replacing anything. I'm talking about introducing new opportunities. That's what I'm talking about today. Do you know, we have to learn from the school boards that already are doing amazing things. Currently, right now, we have approximately 22,000 students with autism in our school system. And working and learning and collaborating with school boards across this province, I'm learning. In southwestern Ontario, there's a school board with an amazing inclusive program that's working. In Northern Ontario, there's a consortium that's come together to secure services and supports to better support their students. And I want to take a look at that some more as well. And in the Golden Horseshoe, we have a school board that is focusing on regulating emotions. And that, too, is working incredibly well, not only for children with autism, but the entire classroom. And so, again, this is about embracing what's already working out there and making sure that supports are properly in place for the students that are entering the school system later this spring.
What kinds of consultations did you do with parents? Are these some of the things that they told you that they wanted?
Actually, it's been phenomenal. You know, thank you for that question. Right from day one, the person I am, I believe in grassroots engagement. And we embarked on the largest consultation the Ministry of Education has ever had in Ontario. And we had 72,000 people participate in this consultation last fall. Their comments and their suggestions were thoughtful and very sincere. And in embracing those results, with the consultations that we've had since last July with parents with autism, people want us to get it right, and we want to work with them to make sure we get it right. And some of the examples that I've shared with you today, for example, the extending of the pilot program, the bill that I introduced last fall, the Safe and Supportive Classrooms Act. I'm standing on the shoulders of families who have reached out and asked me to get it right. And that's my number one priority. And I hope our actions, not only through last summer, last fall, and through the winter, but even add that to what I announced today, I hope our actions speak for themselves.
We have time for one more question. Anyone answer?
No one else? Okay. So you're talking about adding supports through schools for children with autism, but what we've heard from Lisa MacLeod is she's been saying that, we want to give money directly to families so people can choose what they want in terms of therapy. So how do those two dovetail there?
They complement each other. They absolutely are. I'm the Minister of Education, and she's the Minister of Children and Community. And our programs are going to complement each other. And again, they can't be misconstrued to be one or replacing one over top of the other. I am absolutely adamant that what I've introduced today is a perfect complement to the direction that Minister MacLeod is taking. Well, thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.